different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake of
technology, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovese, and we are coming at you every single Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're always bringing you amazing guests. You know, we want to bring on the show people who have accomplished things, people who have a story to share, some insight on how you can level up. You know, this show is all about building connections and building community. And honestly, you know, I love doing this with my co-host, Steve, because we learn from people who have been down the road before us. We learn from people who have diversity of experiences and skill sets. And one thing I've learned, you know, I started out, 26 or 7 years ago or so, very clueless, knew nothing about business. I didn't have any skills at all. But I knew someday I wanted to have enough skills to be able to win at life, to win at business. And honestly, it came through a myriad of meeting so many amazing people who have been down the road, who have taken the bumps and bruises and scratches from falling and failing and getting back up, learning the lessons and then passing them on to me and to others around me. You know, 27 years ago or 26 years ago, Steve Spiro and I met. Two introverts, two former shy guys who didn't know anything about connecting with anybody, didn't know much about business, although Steve did have an advertising agency in New York. So he had some experience in business. I didn't have any. When we met, we had similar business mentors. But look, we're not shy guys anymore. We overcame that. We're still introverts. That's an energy thing. But, you know, we can visit that area of energy when we need it. But certainly when we were talking with people, we do get energized because we love to feed off that energy and harness it and have them teach you guys in our audience. So make sure what you're doing is you're going to the masterconnector.show, because that website has all the upcoming events, the guests that we're going to be having on there, every date, every topic. And you can go on there, follow that, but also go to the LinkedIn page, follow that so you get notified every time we are going to go live. So I'm not going to delay it any further. I want to bring him on, the Master Connector, my co-host, my friend, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's going on? Hey, Rob G. You know, it's funny because when I first met you, you know, you didn't come across to me. I didn't really get a sense that you were super shy. I would say reserved. But then when I saw you get on stage and, you know, we were, you know, earlier on in our careers in business, we were like given an opportunity to be on, that's not a huge stage, but on a little stage. And you always impressed me with your communication skills, your charisma. You had great humor, great wit. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe you transformed a little sooner than I did in that world, because it took me a while to get to that place. But I appreciate the kind words, and it's exciting to be partnering with you on this together and building community together. So what's going on, friends? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. And we're very pumped, and good to see you, John Braden on the call with us here. Exciting. You know, listen, this is the Master Connector Show. So if you're here, we want to know about you. You know, you might be in the background watching, but if you don't put your name in the comments and say, hey, it's John from Chicago, wherever. John, I forget where you're from. Forgive me. Okay. But wherever you're from, tell us where you're from. Tell us the city, state, country. As we started, we want participants, right? We don't believe in LinkedIn lurkers. You know, we want LinkedIn participants. That's what this community is based on. So get in the comments, participate. We have questions. Feel free to ask them. But we're going to have a great time here today. And so, hey, you know, as the Master Connector, I love speaking on stages about the transformative power of embracing your uniqueness. And we're all different, right? We're all very, very unique. You know, it's essential to recognize that our individuality is our greatest asset, you know, and personal branding and visibility stem from the courage to showcase what makes us different. You know, advocacy, self-advocacy and authenticity are not just buzzwords, but they're the foundation of the genuine connections and lasting success. When we boldly step into, the spotlight, like being on stage or just whatever on social media, we inspire others to do the same, and creating a ripple effect of empowerment. And by embracing your true self, it's not only liberating, but also magnetic and attracting other opportunities and like-minded individuals. So, remember, it's our uniqueness and our unique qualities that set us apart and pave the way for extraordinary achievement. And I just want to say this, we're not looking as I think we heard it, right? It's not being different for the sake of being different, but being unique because it's your true self, right? And I know Rob will probably tell you a little bit about his journey in that, and how he came up with some of, the brand he is today and what he does today. But anyway, if you're ready for us, we're going to have an incredible time today. And again, I want to welcome everyone to the show. Richard Lowe is in the house from Clearwater, Florida. Welcome, Richard. Richard Lowe, not Rob Lowe, Richard Lowe, ghostwriter, is in the house. Of course, our amazing Yolanda Chin, as always, welcome. And I should know John, he's the local guy. He's in Connecticut, Western Connecticut guy. Former fighter and EMT. Appreciate you, John. And then Jenna is in the house from Hoboken, New Jersey. So welcome, Jenna. I don't know if we've seen you here on the show, but I know we know each other. It's great to have you on the show here. So just excited to see what's going on. So type in "Let's Go," everyone in the community. Type in "Let's Go" in the comments, and I'm going to have Mr. Rob G bring on our amazing guest. There you go.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. So look, like I said, we always have amazing guests on here, and that's thanks to Steve, who's always meeting amazing people. So I appreciate him for that. But listen, today we have Marta Spurk. Marta Spurk is a Brazilian singer and entrepreneur who embodies resilience and determination in the pursuit of dreams against all odds. A TEDx speaker, award-winning author, and visibility strategist, Marta empowers individuals to use their voice and gifts to shine via her keynotes, the Empowered Woman podcast, her best-selling book, The Empowered Woman, The Ultimate Roadmap to Business Success, and the Empowered Woman School membership and coaching programs. Please welcome to the show, Marta Spurk. Hey, Marta, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks so much for having me.
Good to have you.
It's awesome. Great stuff. Well, Marta, it is awesome to have you on the show here. We are honored for so many reasons having you on the show here. So we're excited to hear from you. We love stories. We're all about storytelling. It's a big part of what we do here on the show. And so we want to start with story, right? So community, type in #story. So we'd love to hear your story and how personal branding impacted your visibility and your success today.
Yes, definitely. Well, I am from Brazil. Like Rob introduced me, I'm born and raised in Brazil. And from a very young age, the personal branding came to play with me being very much interested, borderline obsessed with the American culture, with the English language. Obviously, there's always been a huge influence of music and movies down in Brazil, but I took it to the next level. I remember friends growing up would say, "Oh my gosh, you're not even patriotic. How are you, so interested?" But I really had a gift for it. I started teaching English to friends and getting paid for it when I was 14. And I took that as a career, really. So the brand of Marta is really good at English, and she's really good at languages. Started from a very young age, and I made a career out of it. I earned 2 degrees in translation and linguistics. And with then moving to America, marrying my American husband, and pursuing the dream of America, essentially the American dream, the other part of personal branding happened when I really felt like I had sort of lost my identity as I became a mom. So in 2016, I had the surprise of triplets. And you can imagine how that, turns your life around. And I mean, becoming a parent, period, but from 0 to 3 is quite the jump. And I decided I didn't want languages to be my identity. I wanted me to be my identity. And that's when I started my coaching business in the pursuit of who is Marta. Marta is more than a mom to triplets. Marta is more than a Brazilian that can speak English really well. And that's where the visibility coaching that I have developed over the last 7 years really began, was from me finding out what made me unique and then paving the way to help other entrepreneurs, other women entrepreneurs find what makes them unique.
Okay.
great.
Just want to jump in there real quick, Marta, and appreciate a great story, and you're having that focus kind of early on. But for the audience, and for maybe people don't understand, tell us a bit about what visibility strategy actually is.
Yeah. So visibility essentially is marketing, is not only being able to, but being comfortable and confident in talking about yourself. I say self-promotion is not a curse word, even though many people think, oh, I could never. Well, especially if you're a business owner, you must. And visibility is also another way of, self-advocacy essentially is, and from a young age, again, I have always believed the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You can ask my older sister and my parents. I'm not afraid to ask for what I want. And I know not everyone is like that, but that's why there are people such as myself to lead the way and say it's okay to want things. And it's more than okay to pursue those things, because dreams are not just dreams. You need to put action to actually make them happen. So visibility essentially is showing up and not being afraid to show off, because if you really believe in the value of your gifts, you need to talk about them.
Love
Very
that.
good. Thank you.
One thing it struck me, and again, we're not going to focus on it, but triplets, mama triplets. And I just got recently into the Netflix series, This Is Us. I'm probably behind the eight ball, a lot of people. And wow, what a crazy life with three obviously there's a little extra spin. If you haven't seen the series, you'll see what I'm talking about, but crazy. I have maybe a little bit of a glimpse of what crazy life must be with triplets. But anyway, kudos to you and being an incredibly successful businesswoman. But I do want to touch on something, on the growth side. So community, type in hashtag growth. And you mentioned it before. So what role does advocacy play in professional growth, right? And I probably I struggled that early on, but nowadays I understand the world needs to hear from me because it's going to add value for people. But I love your perspective on that and the growth perspective in terms of professional growth.
Yeah. Well, it's not only about asking for what you want, but it's really stepping into the shoes of a leader. Because if you start asking for what you want, people around you are going to understand that they can do it too. That it's okay for them to voice their opinions. It's okay for them to disagree with the things that you say, and they have a different opinion. And I think this is very cultural as well. That's something that I so appreciate about the American culture that differs from the Brazilian and many Latin cultures, is being outspoken, is saying, I don't like it. It's okay that you do, but I don't. And I will go and live my life. Instead of, I need to, people please, and I need to measure my words, and I need to save face. Obviously, there's a time and place for everything, and we need to be respectful to each other, but we are who we are. So I really believe that in any role that you play, whether it be in your family, whether it be if you're working corporate, it is important that you voice your opinions and that you stand your ground, because it's all about boundaries as well. Self-advocacy has everything to do with boundaries and saying no to the things that you don't want to say no to, instead of being a pushover or a doormat. And again, I will say, because that's my life and my perspective as a business owner, boundaries are very important when you're dealing with clients, right? And because you set the tone for how people are going to treat you. Many times we expect, right, certain things from people, but if we don't tell them that that's how we want to be treated, I mean, let's talk contracts, right, and setting expectations. How do you expect people to do certain things? They have to be verbalized and they have to be said. Same thing goes for marketing. How do you expect people to know your value, know, what offers you have? If you're just sitting there, you have to speak up and say, I am good at this, and this is how much it costs, and I would love to work with you. Let's talk about it. You can't just expect people to knock on your door. That's great when they come knocking, right? But usually they come knocking because you put yourself out there.
So let me ask you this, Marta, and obviously I agree with everything you're saying, because that's just truth. That's the reality. Now, I came from a place, and Steve, he's so good. He'll always paint me in the best light. But the fact is, when we met, I was clueless, but I was Worst includes I was extremely fearful of everything because I knew you were smarter than me. I knew you were more successful than me. I knew you made more money than me. That went for everybody because that's how low my self-esteem was. But I was very afraid of putting myself out there. I was very afraid of speaking up. And obviously I've outgrown that and conquered a lot of fears along the way. But what did you say to somebody who says, I would love to do that, Marta, but they're timid? How do they get over that?
Yeah. Well, this conversation is very important because I come from a place of being an extrovert and I like being a performer and I like being in front of people. But through the years, I realized not everybody is like that. However, they still exist. They still very much have gifts and a purpose in life. And that in itself is worthy of being showcased. So it really starts with understanding in my uniqueness, I may not be the one that is going to be the loudest in the room, but I'm still there. And I need to make myself known in my own way. And it's really our life's journey to figure out what in my own way means. It's not going to be like me. And this was a challenge for me in working with clients and in helping them understand that they're not supposed to do things the way I do them. There are certain guidelines and there are certain suggestions, but at the end of the day, it's not a one size fits all visibility strategy. It's unique to how you show up in the world, because if you're not extroverted and you start doing things the way that I do, it's going to come off inauthentic and people notice that. And you're going to get burned out because you probably don't have the same energy to get all of the things, done. And we don't want that. So, but at the same time, you will only know if you try. That's like I think the biggest gift in life is being okay with being vulnerable, being okay with putting yourself out there, taking risks and making mistakes, because that's how you learn. Clarity really comes from action.
Yeah, for sure. Before we touch on that, I just wanted to welcome Estelle back on the show. She's been one of our guests, and she's been a great member of the show. So welcome, Estelle. But I appreciate you saying that. You were talking about vulnerability, authenticity. And when I'm on stage, I love speaking about that. And as a not only former shy guy, introvert, also somebody who had a really low self-esteem, it was hard for me. And I played the comparison game for years, and I always fell short. It's kind of like Rob was saying, right? I always thought the same thing, and it stifled me. But I found that when I became authentic and shared those vulnerabilities, that I became powerfully confident, and that confidence allowed me to share with other people. But I do want to touch on one thing here, and type in hashtag crucial. Probably not the best hashtag, but I want you to touch on why is authenticity crucial in today's world.
Oh, I love that. It makes me think of a quote. I don't know. I forget who it's by. It's in a world where you can be anything, be yourself. It's crucial because that's all you got. All you have is who you are. And you are different because, a lot of the work that I do has a lot to do with me having triplets and seeing the amazingness, but also the challenge of 3 people being born the same day, being raised by the same people, being so freaking different. So what does that say about you and me? We come from completely different families, completely different places, born different dates, right? We're raised in different circumstances. We go through different challenges. Even my sister and I, same thing, right? We're completely different. And so that tells you how you get to leverage this, even the hard stuff, right? Oh, I don't want to tell anyone about this because it's embarrassing. Well, this is the very thing that makes you unique. And as I grow older, I have grown to appreciate the hard things that I have gone through so much more, because those are stories and experiences I get to share. That is wisdom, right? So imagine how that can impact somebody else, because you say, I've actually been through this and I've been through so many other things. Let me tell you about it. And they have to go through certain things themselves to understand, but you get to share that wisdom. And I think with age, we appreciate, our grandparents and our parents even more, because we start seeing things from a different perspective. But I think, especially in the world of social media, where I think things have been changing the last couple of years, but people, for the most part, portray a certain image. And then the comparison game becomes even stronger. oh, she has the perfect life and the perfect marriage and the perfect kids and the perfect body. And then you start seeing, well, but that's not really how things are in real life, right? Especially the influencers that come out and they're like, oh, they were abusing their kids or whatever awful things were happening, and but they have 1 million followers. Um, you start seeing that it's not what it's all cracked up to be. So I think more than ever, being authentic to yourself is crucial.
Rob,
Oh,
before you jump in, I just want to welcome Tommaso, good friend, to the show here. He's appreciating your authentic story, Marta. But go ahead, Rob G.
yeah. So, when you talk about uniqueness, Marta, I mean, everybody's got their journey, and mine led me to being a brander. So I help build brands for companies, for people, and that didn't come out of me choosing it as a career. It came out of necessity when my design business was failing. And because I came out of 25 years of corporate, I wore that corporate mask. So when I went out on my own, I came across as that, but that's not who I am. I mean, who I am is not suit, tie, button down shirt, shoes, leather belt. Like, how I show up now is who I am. Like, you'll always see me. Most of the time my jeans are ripped. I never show up with a collar unless somebody died. But the uniqueness part, how does somebody find what's unique? And now I'll just kind of answer, but I want to hear your perspective is, you have to find yourself, which sounds too esoteric. Go find yourself, right? You have to find out what makes you different. And actually, you don't look for what makes you different. You just have to look at your story. Mm-hmm. Now, I went back to my story and I retraced the steps, and it led me to what makes me unique. Now, I chose my platform, and what makes me unique is my ability to help people overcome fear, because that's my story. That's my platform. My platform is overcoming fear. My work is brand building. But how does a person find out what makes them unique in a way that's authentic that they can then put out there? It may be a tough one.
Yeah, it's a loaded one, but so many thoughts as you were talking. Well, first, find yourself. It's become kind of cliche. People hate it. And there's the other objection quotes that say, you're not a penny that is lost in a pocket. You're not finding yourself. Well, that's not the point. The point is understanding your purpose and your why. Recently, I finally read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. And oh my gosh, it goes back to what you're saying, retrace the steps, right? And I think the older you get, the closer you get. I think it's the ongoing journey, but the closer you get to that why. I mean, when you're 16, what is your why, And then, but when you're 30, 40, you have a better, idea of it because you've lived for longer. Obviously, you've been through some things and you know how you carry yourself. So I think a lot has to do with listening to what people say, because that's marketing, right? You have to listen to the audience because they're outside. You can't read the label from inside the bottle, right? So you need to take in feedback from your family, from your friends, from your clients, and say, hey, you do this really well. Have you ever noticed that this just comes naturally to you? There's another quote by one of my mentors that I love is, what's ordinary to you is extraordinary to others. What is that thing? And for me, from a young age, having people say, wow, you're so good at English. How? Then I started picking up the clues of, I guess this is a gift that I have. Let's capitalize on that. But then realize that it's not your whole identity, which is similar to you. I realize it's not all of me. It's part of who I am. It's just this mosaic. So I think it's a combination of you asking yourself those questions. And in reading the book, I've really realized that a lot of my why is connected to the American dream. It's then now paving the way and telling people you can do anything. No, seriously, you can, if you decide that it's okay for you to want them and you start taking the steps.
That's the key here, and that is taking action, right? And one of my favorite books is The Magic of Thinking Big, which it talks about action cures fears. And Rob, you were talking about that being a big part of your platform is helping people overcome fears. Because I also, same thing, right? We have a lot in common in that respect. But I love the fact that Simon Sinek, and that book is fantastic. He talks about start with why. So community, type in #start as I about to queue up this question. But I want to just acknowledge Cody Sutter on here. Things are cliche for a reason to turn ironic moments into iconic ones. Love that. Thank you, Marta, Rob, and Steve, for the humbling truths and wisdom shared. Excellent. Appreciate you, Cody. Great having you on here. So type in hashtag stars. Here's the question, right? And then we're going to start to close down here as we are getting to the bottom of the hour. But how can one start building a strong personal brand?
Well, again, like I said, it really starts with you paying attention to what people are saying about you and then asking yourself those questions. Pay attention to yourself, right? I think that's another reason why I started this business was because fresh postpartum, I realized I needed to take a good look at myself in order to nurture my kids. How the heck can I nurture these three individually when there's only one of me? Well, then I need to pay closer attention to me because that's what they're getting by default at all times, right? So that's where it all started for me. And there's a Bible verse that I really love that says, a lamp is not lit to be hidden under a basket or under a table. And how many of us are hiding?
That's awesome.
All of the time. You weren't born to hide. You were born to really serve the world with your uniqueness and your gifts. What are they? That's life. It's you figuring out what they are because you do have them. And if you're having a hard time finding them, then ask your community and I'm sure they will let you know.
For sure. I just want to acknowledge Richard is throwing something on the board here. I'm an introvert, but not shy. I defeated shyness by becoming a photographer and used the camera to talk to people. It took 1,200 photo shoots to break the shyness. Wow.
Amazing.
Kudos to you, Richard. I've heard a little bit of his story, and that's amazing. Again, one example of finding something about yourself that you can leverage as a platform to really, not only, continue to move forward, but also help others and inspire others. So great stuff. Well, we appreciate you. Rob, you want to talk about her offer a little bit?
Yeah, no. So listen, audience, we're always looking to bring value here, not just the guests, but, hopefully they can bring you something that maybe you didn't have before you came here. So Marta, tell us about the offer that you have for our audience.
Yes, well, it goes hand in hand with hashtag start, by the way. So many people are like, well, I do want to get more visible and I do want to show my gifts and help my community and serve and get paid for it, which is the bonus. So where do I start? What do I do? So I created a list of 30 plus ideas of things you can do today, whether it be phone someone, text someone, send an email, connect on social media. So many ideas on there so that you're not lost when you sit on your computer and you're like, I don't know how to talk about myself and showcase my amazingness. You can access this free. It's a PDF and there are some videos that go with it as well, just to get you started.
That's great. And we just would appreciate having you on here. You did an incredible job and got and our community. Kudos to you, community. You've been doing great too and engaging here. But what's the best way for our amazing community to reach out to you and to connect with you?
Well, I am visible. I practice what I preach, so you should be able to find me in most major platforms. So look for me as Marta Spurk. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. My website is martaspurk.com. I also have my own podcast, like Rob mentioned at the beginning, The Empowered Woman. And I'm also a singer, an artist on Spotify, Apple Music. If you look for Marta Spurk, YouTube, you'll find me.
Great. Too bad we didn't have you sing today, but we appreciate you. Maybe you'll sing for us in the green room. We're going to jump you in the green room, but thank you again for everything. You're amazing. Okay.
Oh my gosh. So, she's just fantastic.
Incredible.
I mean, sitting there like enwrapped listening to what she's saying because you and I have lived through a lot of things and overcome a lot of things, but when she says it, it's so crystallized.
That's right. Absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, here we are. I want to again thank the community for coming out here, and we really appreciate you guys. We're here for you. That's why we're here. We're here to serve you. We're here to be there for you, and just appreciate everyone that's on. And some new folks that we haven't seen on the show before. Hope you come back again, because next week on August 14th, same bat time, same bat channel, Communicate to Connect with Catherine O'Donnell. It's going to be an incredible show. So don't miss it. It's going to be amazing. Make sure you tune in with us. And listen, I'm gonna close with something I've been doing lately. And by the way, if you haven't had a chance to go to the masterconnector.show, you could look to see the upcoming shows that are coming up, as well as also if you're interested in being one of the sponsors of the shows, we'd love to feature you and focus you. And there's a lot of great feature kind of benefits that come with being a sponsor of the show, a lot of exposure. So, but anyway, I want to tell a quick story. I want to talk about Ludwig van Beethoven. We all know the great Beethoven, right? Despite losing his hearing, he composed some of the most influential music in history. We have Martin here as a musician, so appropriate, right? His unique ability to hear and create music in his mind led to masterpieces like the Ninth Symphony. You know, Beethoven's resilience and innovative spirit transformed classic music and left an enduring legacy. Remember, your uniqueness is an asset. Let your uniqueness shine and be an inspiration to others. And we'll see you next week. Appreciate you guys.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives